Folks at home, welcome back to the 5-acre pond building. If you missed the previous videos in this series, I'll put a link down in the description below. And we're just going to start out today with some good news. We fixed the leak in the pond. So if you missed the last video, when we got done building the pond, it took us about 50 days to fill it up. And when we finally stopped pumping water in, we noticed we had a leak on the backside of the dam. And it was just a small leak with water seeping through the backside of the dam, but it was still something we wanted to fix before we added the fish. So after talking to the pond builder, they had a lot of success with a 2-part polymer. So we added it to the pond, waited about 14 days, and definitely saw some improvements. And when we first noticed the leak, we were losing anywhere between 1.5 inches to 2 inches of water per day. And after I applied the polymer, I started taking measurements every morning. And here at day 14, we're now losing less than 1/2 inch of water per day. And some of that is due to evaporation, which is definitely manageable because ponds are going to lose a little water every day, some of it to evaporation. And a new pond goes through a saturation mode where it's kind of soaking everything in. So you're going to see some losses, and less than 1/2 inch is definitely manageable. And the science behind the polymers is actually pretty cool. I did my own little experiment where I filled a jar halfway full of sand and added a thin layer of both of the polymers, and then filled the rest of the jar up with sand, and I added some dyed blue water and watched it over the course of 14 days. And this gives us a really good look at what's happening beneath the water's surface. So once these two parts get wet, they start swelling up to 300 times their size, and as that water's seeping through the dam or any creases in the clay blanket, once it starts swelling, it basically seals that leak off. Alright folks, time to check in on the experiment. This is day number 5, and you can see all the sand here is still dry, and look at how much it's expanded. So I couldn't be happier with those results because we're finally at the point we've all been waiting for. Now we get to add some fish to the pond. So I got the pond guys scheduled to come out tomorrow. They're delivering 6,000 bluegills and shellcracker and 6,000 fathead minnows. And you'll be seeing all that in next week's video. But today it is time to plant some trees around the pond. So I went out and got some oak trees and cypress trees. And you can see here the oaks are the ones that still have the leaves on them. And this particular oak is called a nut-all oak that's supposed to do really good in this area. And then these trees without any leaves on them are called bald cypress trees. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with them. They look really good around ponds. Alright, I got the first oak in the ground. We got some pretty decent soil right here. I think it's going to do pretty good. But by the time I get done planting 10 of these, I'm going to wish I would have bought an auger for the tractor. And I think I am going to put one of the oaks out there on the island to replace the old red oak tree. But right here off this point, we're going to put an oak tree. This is one of Liz's favorite spots. We're probably going to put her a fire pit over here in this area. Alright, so over here at Bonnie's Bayou, it's got that topwater theme, real stumpy looking. So I'm putting 3 of the cypress trees here, right here along the bank. Alright, a few hours later, we have 9 of them planted all the way down the pond's edge. We'll fly the drone over right now and take a look at it. And the last one, and the best, I saved to plant out on the island. Alright folks, it's that time again to do a little cooking. Today we're going to be doing a Cajun crawfish bowl. Show you the basic ingredients to start off. We got corn, potatoes, mushrooms, Kaneka sausage. But folks, if you've ever seen our crawfish bowls, and if you've tried this recipe, trust me, it's the best combination of seasoning you'll find for crawfish. Swamp fire, that's the spice, and then the Louisiana crab bowl, and this is your salty flavor mixed in with your spicy flavor. Trust me folks, you cannot beat it. Then we have our local restaurant, R&R Seafoods, dip in butter. Talk more about that later. All right, to purge them, you just run water over them for about 20 to 30 minutes. And you'll notice the water is real dirty to start out. And then whenever that clears up, you know they're completely purged. And as you've seen in our previous videos, we use the Kamikoto knife sets because they're extremely sharp and made of high quality Japanese steel. And today I'm going to be trying out their Kuro series, which is the hardest blade they make and has an incredible edge retention. And one of the things I love about them is they have a knife for every application, whether it's jerky, back straps, chopping up vegetables, or even cutting a steak. They've got you covered. So if you cook as much as I do, I'd recommend checking them out. And don't just take it from me, they're used by Michelin star chefs all over the world. And they also make a perfect gift because they're shipped out in these ashwood boxes. So go check them out. I'll put a link down in the description below that will give you $50 off your purchase. Alright, now while the crawfish are purging, we are going to pour the seasonings in the water and bring it to a boil. Now this is a 4.5 pound sack, so You'll use 4.5 pounds of each seasoning, and this cooker cooks about a 40-pound sack of crawfish. So if you were doing less crawfish, just say 20 pounds, you'd use half of this bag and half of the other bag. Now we're going to bring that water to a boil, and then the crawfish will be ready to go in. Now once the water starts boiling, you add the crawfish, sausage, and potatoes, but hold off on the corn and mushrooms. And then you want to bring the water back to a boil. And then when you start seeing the steam and bubbles, it's time to add the mushrooms and corn and turn the fire off. And here's the key. You let them soak for 17 minutes. And that soaking time is very important. That's when they get all of those seasonings and that Cajun taste. Now it's time to eat. One of the things I love about these Loco cookers is they have a built-in drain valve. Makes it easy on the cooks. And I put links to the ingredients, knives, and cookers that we use down in the video description below. Alright folks, it is time to go sink some Christmas trees. So I was just sitting here thinking about a good spot to sink this one. And keep in mind the pond's about a foot low right now. But we already have good brush piles right here. We've got some right here along this bank. We've got the tunnels right there in that area. And then probably the biggest brush pile in the pond is right down there in the deep end. We've got another good one out there, so I think we have that whole area covered pretty good. And I don't want to clutter up this area over here near the dock. So I think for this one, we're going to lay it right there off the island. And then whenever that water level fills back up, it'll cover the tree up. And I saved the best oak tree for last. The one sitting right there on the dock. I'm going to take it and plant it on Alcatraz Island. So we got the USS Sarah loaded up. Time to put out some structure. All right, we got some wire here. Just going to go around the tree, through the block. Give it a little cut. And then I like to bend these pieces back down inside the cinder block so they're not poking out to hurt the fish. And there we go. She is ready to sink. We got her loaded down. Alright, if you can see that blue flag right there, that's where the water line is going to be. So if I dump it right here on this steep drop off, when the water fills back up, it should completely cover it. Perfect. Now I'm picking out a spot to plant the tree, and I probably have 25 feet that way, about 17 to 20 that way, another 25 that way, and about 15 this way. So right here on the highest spot of the island, even if the roots spread out and cover the whole island, which I think would take 20 or 30 years, we should be good with the clay liner. All right, we got the hole dug and about broke the shovel because that red clay is pretty tough to dig through. And I have a feeling that oak trees don't do really good in red clay. So I went out and got some garden soil. We'll coat the bottom of the hole right there and around the sides, and hopefully that'll help the little oak grow. All right, that's a wrap. And I may have to get a GPS coordinate and find out how close this oak is planted to the original oak, because that ridge right there is where that old oak tree was. Alright, so one of the last steps to complete this pond build is to cover that drain pipe. So I went out and got this contraption, and basically how it works is it sits on top of the drain pipe. You can see the little metal bars in there, but its diameter is 36 inches and the pipe is only 30 inches. So it's actually going to stick out around the outside of the pipe and sit down. So from this metal bar to here will be underwater at full pool. And the reason that is beneficial is because once we get a lot of rainwater, it's going to start sucking water down that pipe and pulling all the debris, small logs and sticks and things like that. If this portion of the cage is underwater, the sticks would actually have to go underwater, come back up to get down in it. So this should be a perfect solution for a pond application. And I wanted to install it today, but then it would cover up the ruler on the drain. But we'll be measuring over the next few days to make sure that stuff fixed the pond leak. So you're probably going to see this installed in the next video. Alright folks, results are in for the salt block and mineral block. You can see they actually ate the mineral block a little bit. I don't even think they touched the salt block, even with a pile of corn sitting on top of it. So mineral block is the clear winner here. So now for the next trial, I had some friends of mine recommend this Wild Game Innovations. And basically all they're doing is taking the fruit and blending it and crushing it up. So we've got apples, persimmons, and peanuts. I know they love peanuts out here. but I also know they love apples. Well, it passes the smell test for me. That stuff smells really good, and I like the fact that there's still some whole pieces in there. Even some little chopped up peanuts right in there, so definitely interested to see how this one turns out. And as always, the first ones up to the pile are a little bit skeptical. Looks like some of them are preferring the corn. And that doe's like, nope, I'm out of here. And it seems like it definitely attracted a lot of deer to the area. Especially the does. They seem to be the most interested. And I kind of feel like the apple flavored was the early winner. But the biggest thing that caught my attention is the return of this guy. So he first showed up on the farm a couple weeks ago, and I showed him to you in the last video. And there was a wide range of comments of different animal types you guys thought he could have been, but I think after reading the comments and getting a better look at him that he is a black coyote. And also reading through other comments, it seems like they're pretty rare. But this guy definitely seems to be interested in the farm, and he's coming back every night, so I've gotten a lot of footage of him. So you know how we like to do it with all the farm animals. I'm going to let you guys name the black coyote. So leave your comments down in the video description, and whoever's name I choose, I'll send you out a prize package. But here was another cool shot of him. So he's hanging out. It kind of looks like he's hunting like the other coyotes do. Back there in that standing sorghum. And a smaller deer comes out right along the edge. I don't think he sees him at all or even knows that he's there. But the coyote gave him a pass. I'm not sure that they even mess with deer that size. But it was interesting to see the two get that close. And nothing happened. But I think we may end up seeing some turf wars here, because you'll see some other clips. Here's a shot of a buck out feeding. And you can always tell when they get that cautious look, that means there's coyotes in the area. And sure enough, our two regular coyotes came out. But watch how the one coyote acts. It seems like he smells something. And I'm guessing it's the first time he smelled the black coyote, because he's definitely acting strange. And just after watching so much game camera footage this year, coyotes act a lot like dogs. They always mark their territory when they come through, and this one acts just like my dog where he kicks his feet. And some other animals that have been coming out a lot lately are the raccoons. And at first I thought they were just hanging out around the pond just to drink some water. But I'm not sure what they're doing here. They move back and forth along that pond's edge a lot. I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me what it is that the raccoons are doing. And I think we finally got another sighting of the fawn that I call Spot. He's the one that came up to me earlier in the year a few different times. He's always had that brighter colored fur, and he stands out a little bit, and it looks like he did lose all of his spots. Alright, out here checking out day one results from the wild game we put out. Definitely hit the apple probably the hardest, and it's probably a tie on the other two. They are starting to hit that mineral block a little bit more, and they ate the corn around the salt block. We'll do it one more night. And we got Pepe Le Pew, the friendly skunk, making his nightly rounds. And the best guard bird you could ever ask for, Hooter the owl, that sits on top of the tractor on night watch, looking for any of those field mice. But we still haven't hit the rut yet, but all this cooler weather has the deer moving like crazy. I think any day now the rut's going to kick off. Alright, and it is time to feed Mr. Moby. Alright folks, that's going to wrap up this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because we have the most anticipated part of the whole pond build coming up, and that's adding the fish. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and we will see you all next time.